I'm interviewing right now a bisexual young man who is about 21 years old. He The reason that I'm recording this is that I've had a few people who will comment on my videos and either say I have this chick's got problems, issues, no shit, get the fuck over it. But also there are some young men who will watch this and then be picking on me and then reveal something about themselves while they're picking on me, and I'll be like, "Oh, you've got fucking issues and you want me to help you with them, and I'm not your fucking mom." So, same deal goes with this young man, except that, I kind of have adopted him as a nephew kind of thing because I actually give a flying fuck about him. You people who are commenting and just being jackasses, I don't give a fuck about you, but if you want me to give a fuck about you, maybe try being nice and saying, "Hey, you seem like someone who knows what the fuck she's talking about. Will you help me?" Yes, I fucking will. But I'm not going to help you if you're just being a little jackass. So, does that make more sense when I was talking about why it frustrates me when you act certain kinds of ways? Because it's not that I dislike you, it's that I like you enough to correct you in that moment and be like, "Look, you're acting kind of like a jackass right now. What's up?" So, when you're having okay, so this is where we were in our conversation for his own anonymity and to respect his fucking privacy. I'm not gonna put him on the screen, but he's a very attractive young man, and get the fuck over it. All right, so when you're having sex with one of these dudes, you said that it feels not right.
Like, at the before anything, it feels like it's right, and then once it starts happening, it just kind of feels wrong.
Is that whether
Like,
you're
right
taking it or
time.
giving it?
I really take it. I don't like that.
Yeah, it hurts.
But
wait, you've never had it before?
What?
No, I know. That's what I was like. Wait, what did you say?
I don't like it.
Yeah. So you're not gay, okay? Because gay men like it up the butt.
The thing is, like, I don't mind sucking a dick. Just the uncircumcised, I can't do it. I can't.
Okay, was the person who sexually assaulted you when you were a kid circumcised? He was.
Like me.
Okay. Yeah, and you are circumcised. So when we talked about it, you said you weren't, but I think that you were confused that night because you were high. And so that's the thing, is that you're not. So, like, oh, obviously we've had sex, by the way. So, yeah, I was like, well, I've seen your dick now. But so that's, and it's fine either way. But when it's not, what bothers you about it? It just grosses you out?
Not really the gross out part. It's more it's not me.
So it's not like
it's
you.
Not like, I just know it's not what I'm supposed to do.
Okay. But you only notice that when he's not circumcised?
No, I notice that, like, just anytime, like, I fool around with a guy.
Okay. Because, yeah, so if it doesn't feel right, then you're not, and that's okay that you had, a period of sexual exploration. You don't have to own bisexual for the rest of your life. You can say, I was, but I'm not. Like, that's what you should have told the gentleman who introduced us, who was obsessed with you, is I'm not, I've realized that I'm not gay. And it's not you that made me realize it. It's the whole experience as one. I've realized, hey, this doesn't feel right to me. That's why I don't like when women who don't want to be in a threesome with a guy and then they sit there struggling with their own sexual identity. I hate that men put young women through that, because I've never gone that far, because in thinking about putting my face between a girl's legs, it grosses me out. I'm not saying that women are gross. I'm not saying you shouldn't like women. Men like women. Women like women. Some people are born gay and they're different, and that's okay too. I'm okay with that. But the whole bisexual thing does bother me, because if you like both, there's a difference between liking it and owning that, hey, like somebody told me one time, I would marry a fucking dude, but I'm not attracted to them. And so I was like, well, that's the thing, is that, like, that's when you admit that you just want to be best friends with somebody. But somewhere in your life, someone fucked up the idea. Remember, he said the lights always flash when I'm sitting here talking truth? I mean, somebody has fucked with your head the idea of love enough that you put yourself there even when you don't want to. And for you, it was that you were sexually assaulted as a kid. How old were you?
7, 8, or 9. 7 or 8.
How long did it happen? Like, was it during all those years? Okay.
Happened
So
for about
that
2 to 3 years.
okay, and so that guy that fucked you and fucked with your head and your sexual identity, that's his fault. He did that to you, okay? And it's not your fault. And it's okay. It's okay that you have struggled with that. And it's okay that you get upset about it and that you cry about it sometimes. All of that is okay. All right? Like, you don't need to continue to put yourself in that uncomfortable situation just because somebody took it from you. You see what I'm saying? Because when I was raped, it was by a male friend. And when he apologized, that's what fucked me up, is that not only did he own it, he owned that it was his fault that, that I had experienced that. And then suddenly I had to choose. Was I going to continue, being promiscuous and blaming it on the fact that I was raped? I couldn't anymore because I was given that apology.
I think if he did apologize,
that would make
it be better.
Yeah. Oh yeah, when my rapist apologized to me, well, first of all, not only did he apologize to me, but he offered me the counterpoint of, I didn't know that I raped you because I thought you were being sexy. I thought when you were saying no, it was the whole no means yes thing. And he's like, and he learned when he went to college. It was in his first year. They do like a sex talk with, and you didn't go to a big university like this. So they did like a sex talk with us too. And even though I went to a women's college, no means no. That's it. End of story.
Sex ed, not sex ed, but
See, and they were still learning
like health class.
Yeah, so for my generation, because I'm that much older than you, they were still figuring that kind of shit out. And they were still learning how to tell kids that. Like, I remember sex ed being taught in schools was a huge, huge debate.
We didn't have sex ed.
Health class. Oh. See, for me, it was like we had an actual sex ed class in I guess it was 7th grade. It was before we went to high school. Because my school was so small, my town was so small, we only had an elementary and a high school. So from 7th grade, then you go into 8th grade, which is in the high school. And so I guess that's when they decided to really, get in on this and like really drive it home, because we had so many teen pregnancies. So that's when we learned about it. And I remember, and it was funny because we were talking about it tonight. I said, we had to ask, we were given the chance to ask questions anonymously and put it in like a bucket or whatever, but everybody would laugh. And so when my question came up, is do penises have hair on them? And she laughed and never answered. And I said, well, I guess I have to call out that was my question now, but why didn't you answer the fucking question? And I remember I said fucking. And she was like, excuse me? I said, I'm sorry, I was just describing the question because it's a fucking question. And she was like, okay, Miss Oyster. And I was like, yeah. So I know that I did that wrong, but also, can we answer the question, please? And she and she didn't know the answer to that fucking question. So my teacher never answered the question. We've answered it tonight. Yes. A little bit of hair grows on the base of the penis. A little bit of hair grows on the inside of the lips, too. For girls, obviously. But that's, and anyway, sorry, that's another medical thing that I want to bring up, is that there are some people who are born with what we call, in the medical, we call them the green card babies, because they've got ambiguous genitalia, which means it could be a penis, it could be a vagina, And then the doctor has to have that conversation with the parents of, do you want to do chromosomal testing, which is the XX and the XY, or do you want to just let
There's
it?
actually some that are born with the XXY.
I've never heard of that, and so I'm gonna have to check in on that, but
I thought
I don't think that's accurate
I thought I've heard.
because it's either XX or XY.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to check in on that, but I'm a medical professional and I've never heard of that. So I don't want to. So I don't want to like. So for anybody who watches this and listens, like I'm gonna have to check in on that information. But like, and I will. I mean, not, you know. And if I don't, somebody comment and say, hey, you never addressed this. Like, I would be interested to know. But what I'm saying is, chromosomal will tell you XX or XY. But then we get the transgender people. So like I said, I emotionally am more like a man in the sense of I can separate sex and emotions, but I've learned that was because of the sexual assault that I experienced. Yes, exactly. So that's why we're doing this. And I'm sorry, I know that this is an interview with you and I'm taking over, but for the intents and purposes of why I'm recording this right now, is that you and we're both androgynous. So, which, since I had to explain it to you, I'll explain to my audience. It means that we both can pull off looking like the opposite gender. So right now I'm so thin and my boobs have completely collapsed that when I put on a hat, I've had, and I'm built like a 12-year-old boy, so I look like a boy. He's got curves and he's got long hair and he's very pretty in the face, so he can pull off looking kind of like a girl, except he's got facial hair, so which he's playing with right now to point out that, yeah, he looks like a dude. But that doesn't mean that you have to be.
It's gone.
Yeah, and then I could see where you could look like a pretty little girl if you wanted to, like curl your hair or whatever. But that doesn't sexually identify you. You sexually identify you. You get to pick. So you don't have to say I'm bisexual anymore if you don't want to fuck dudes, and I can tell you don't. I can tell that that's something that really bothers you, and when the people that, are here trying to hit on you, the men, it makes you uncomfortable. And that's, like when my friend Brock was over and he was having to be like, dude, I'm not gay. Dude, I'm not gay. To somebody who was like very obviously flirting with him. Like, I only have to say it once. But and I kind of pointed out to him, or wasn't going to go into it in too much detail, like, now you know what girls go through. And we're like, dude, I should only have to say no once. I've had to tell no to guys to the point of, all right, I guess I'm getting raped now. And then I did. I got violently raped in this chair. Because no was not an answer that he was going to accept. So,
I've had to say no many times.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
You shouldn't have to do that. And is it always with guys, or is it also with girls?
Also with girls.
And see, and when you told me about that, that made me sick to my fucking stomach. That there are women out there, or were they older?
Yes and no.
Yes and no, both. So you've had both. Where like a woman pursued you. See, that's rape. That's rape. I don't care what you say. Like if you say no one time and someone keeps coming after you. At that point, you can say, I was sexually assaulted. Now, I don't know why people want to define rape differently.
I was okay with it. Like, I said no, and then I gave in. I was like,
okay, no, but that doesn't mean... Okay, wait, though. So, and I see what you're saying. So, you don't want to call it rape as in, like, I said no, and then they said, oh, bitch, you're not saying no, and then took it. Yeah. So, but giving in is still... You see what I'm saying? Like, that's still not okay. That you should... Like, you shouldn't have had to give in to anything. Nobody should keep after you long enough for you to have to... Why are you sitting there looking at, like, I don't want to admit that she's right?
No, I see your point. I really do.
I know. And it's like you've got this sadness to you of, like, yeah, I shouldn't have had to. And... So what I guess what I'm asking you is to, instead of laughing it off like you do and trying to do the smiley thing, own the anger of it, because it's not right. And instead of, and you don't have to own the anger and just be an angry asshole all the time, but to own the anger and then say, all right, so what are we going to fucking do about it then, Robin. Then I will figure out what the fuck we're gonna do about it. But to sit there and laugh it off is not a laughing matter. Especially for me as a mother. Especially for me as a fucking woman who's been raped by 5 different men. 5. Yeah, that's...
That way,
yeah.
Since even though I gave in, it was still rape. I've been raped a lot.
Yeah. See, that's... yeah. And when your first sexual experience is rape, it takes a while to come back from that. Like, so that's why, like, I don't mean to come down on you about it, but it's like I love you enough to not want that for you. To want sex to be an enjoyable experience for you and not, I just have to do this. Like, this is a part of life now. But it's not the most important part of life, and that's a gift that you and I were given of intimacy. To me, is far more important than sex. And intimacy has many different, yeah, see, and you can smile through it and be like, yeah, okay, that's a real smile. That's not your plastered on cheesy ass, I want to slap you in the face smile. Because it's real. Yeah. See, and that's where you become, yeah, and see, you just had, without knowing, you just put on your man face. And I appreciate that, because that's beautiful to me. But the little boy smiley bullshit, like, it's creepy and weird, and I don't like it. Get that face on when someone's coming at you and trying to be rapey with you, because at a certain point, most people are not pedophiles. Now, I have to say it like that, because you and I have unfortunately encountered a pedophile together. Like, but that's, usually when I do get creepy and, like, little girly, because it's weird, and stop obsessing over that. You just go get it looked at. I don't know, obsessing over it's not going to help. You don't need to go to the emergency room for a rash. Unless you're on Lamotrigine. There's one medicine that if you develop a rash, you have to go to the emergency room immediately because you'll be dead within hours. Yeah, they tried to put me on that. Anyway, I see that there's still one person watching that's been watching since pretty much the beginning. If you're someone who struggles with your sexuality because you were sexually assaulted, and because you're a bisexual male, and that's taboo, at least in this area, it's very taboo. Men like women and women like men, and that's the way things are. But then the men around here are so macho that they want their women to be in threesomes with them, which I'm like, I'm not gay. So see, to me, you're asking me to put myself in a situation where I'm sexually exploited for your benefit, and your benefit as my spouse or somebody who wants to be with me. You should respect me enough not to ask me to do that.
The threesomes, foursomes. I've been in up to orgies. I have. But, like, thing is, I never asked for it. They asked me.
Yeah. And if you wanted to, then you, like, an orgy kind of situation, I imagine that that's an invite.
Too many.
Yeah. Well, and
there was 6 females. I was like, no.
And you were the only male? Did you want to do that?
I wanted to learn and experience it.
Okay.
And then after I experienced it, I was like, no.
Yeah. So you've experienced. So that's actually really incredible that you brought that up, because my ex said he wanted to make 7 women come at the same time, and I said, well, I'll grow 2 extra personalities.
1, 2, 3,
yeah,
4,
exactly.
5, 6.
And that's what I told him. I said, you don't have that enough. I said, you don't have enough appendages for that. So why don't we work on making this one woman come first, and then yeah.
I barely achieved 3 of them.
Yeah, because you shouldn't. You don't need to do that. Why put that pressure on yourself? Not you, but like the guy who wanted that specifically. That's hilarious that you've experienced that.
I was just doing this.
Yeah, and it doesn't look comfortable. Anyway, so I hope you've learned something today from this 20-minute conversation that turned into me taking it over. But essentially, I didn't want him to have to sit there and talk about his stuff, because I could tell he didn't really want to, other than I wanted to bring that point up. That can we stop asking each other to do things we're not comfortable with, and respect the fact that if you love somebody, you love them enough that when they say no, no means no. And when they say, yeah, I'll try it, but be able to set rules. Like, okay, if at this point I feel uncomfortable and I'm like, never mind, I don't want to do it, don't make the girl feel like she should have to. Well, and that's I'm speaking because I'm a woman who's been put in that position. You know what I mean? But like, if I say no, it's no. That's it.
Well, I like sucking dick though. That's the only
But not if it's uncircumcised.
No, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.